Hey everybody, it's AverageDrafter. Back from well, not doing a whole hell of a lot, uh, magic-wise at least. So we have a Ferromancer, a Pure Steel Paladin, and an Enslave. These are all pretty powerful cards. The Ferromancer and the Enslave being the most powerful. Um, this is a really tough pick between Enslave and Ferromancer. I think both cards are really strong, but I'm gonna go with the Enslave here. I think black is a pretty powerful color. I think it's a little underdrafted. I could be wrong. I guess it just depends on the draft. People tend to stay open pretty late. I think that this pick is worth the power of this pick is worth it, and we'd be locking yourselves into a color regardless of which pick we took. Fairmaster's, I guess, a little bit more splashable, but it is also very vulnerable to a lot of the one damage uh, that's in this format, himself included. But the Enslave is really strong, so we'll make that our pick. Okay, this pack is pretty weak. There's a Triumph, which I've never been too happy with. Um, Caress, which I guess would go okay with our last pick to either draw 3 cards. We could end up with an effect deck also. There's Artillerize, which this card I've not been very happy with at all. There's Leeching Bite, which depending on if we go with either Infect, these are the colors for it, or not Infect, this card would be pretty strong either way, but it is a second color. So I'm kind of... There's also a Blighted Agent, but I tend not to want to go with an Infect deck if I can help it, although Caress is going to be good for that as well. I think I'm just going to stay on color right now and just take Caress here over Artillerize, or one of the nice blue cards. Okay, there's a Parasitic Implant, Glissa Scorn. So this is the second good green card that we've seen past. I guess not really that great. That we didn't have really that great of a green card in the last pack. There's also the Sickle Slicer to keep us more. So Implant for more removal, Sticker Slicer for a decent creature, some decent equipment. But they're not. It's not really that great of a creature, and the equipment is kind of expensive to use. So Implant or Scorn. There's also Slash Panther. I'm not that big on this guy. Throat Seeker is actually pretty strong. If we had picked up the Agent with that last pick, we definitely would go there. But I think we're just going to go ahead and take the Parasitic Implant. The format's pretty slow, so that card actually works pretty well for us. Okay, so the green signal keeps on coming, so we're going to go ahead and pick up on it now. It's either that or Verdict without any creatures yet. I think that the Pteranodon is pretty strong pick here for us. We could really force black heavy and take a Verdict here, and that's not a terrible play, but I've had Verdict be kind of weak against certain players, especially if they have a lot of crappy creatures. Here's a pretty late Suture Priest. There's a Vital Splicer, which is a pretty good card for a Maul Splicer, but I think the Vital Splicer is a little bit better. And I think I'm going to take this over the Vault Scourge. I like Vault Scourge enough, but I think we need a little bit more beef. And being able to generate golems is pretty strong. And I think that also shows that the green is definitely flowing. So we could end up abandoning this black or limiting it a lot more. So I definitely want to try to take green as much as possible. Here's another 6-drop. To be fair, this is probably more of a 4 or 5 drop than a 6-drop for more often than not. But I don't really see much else in this deck, or in this pack for us. There's a Soul Eater, which is a little bit cheaper, but we've got a couple of 4-drops already, and it dies to a lot of stuff. Necropouncer at least is decent equipment, and the equipment cost is really cheap. So we'll take the Necropouncer there. Okay, so here's a Maul Splicer. Works really good with this Regenerator, especially if you can get a tap on it. There's also a Wellspring. I think we're going to go with the Maul Splicer here. We can get Fixing slash later. The Splicer does work. They both work really well together. We'll take a Cobra here. So we're definitely green. We could have taken green a lot earlier. Here, there's a choice between a betrayer and a hover mirror and a verdict, and I think we're going to go with the verdict here. I don't know. I didn't really see that verdict initially. Uh, Here's a vapor snag, kind of a late vapor snag, definitely a late streak raptor. A dementia bat. Do I want to go ahead and try one dementia bat? I've not been too happy with it, but if it's on color and will help us in the next pack if we pick it up, and maybe we'll end up playing it. I think we'll definitely take the Soul Eater here over the Toxic Nim. The Hysteric is actually not too bad. I definitely like that better than the Dementia Bat just because it's so large. We'll take the Shrine is not all that scary, so we'll take the Ruthless Invasion out. It's a little bit scary because we tend up we're having kind of a meat army over here as opposed to an artifact, so that could actually hurt us. And it could be something we side in against somebody who has a lot fewer artifacts. So we have quite a few artifacts with the Splicers and the Turnidons and the probably not going to be playing this guy. Okay, so here's a Phyrexian Vat Mate, Vat Mother actually. Um, that's an interesting card. That can end the game pretty quick. It's a really good defensive creature. It's not really going with what we're trying to work with here. But at the same time, it does end games very quickly by itself. It's a really good defensive creature that first turn. If they're not playing Infect, then you don't lose a lot. Uh, it is definitely something we don't want to face. I'm debating between this and the Carapace. The Carapace actually turns these Slicers a lot better, makes the trample on this Slicer really good. I think we're going to go with the Carapace here. Okay, let's see. There's Spread the Sickness, Emissary, Marauder, but we'll definitely go with the Spread the Sickness here. It's another 5-drop. Not a whole lot of anything. There's a Dross Ripper. That's a decent 4-drop. And I think that's going to be our pick here. There's a Divine Offering, but I think that we're pretty well set with green as our second color just because we picked up some nice late stuff here. And we should expect to see some more late green in the third pack. It seems like we're not getting a lot of green here, but we are picking up some black. There's an Emissary here. There's also a Plague Maw Beast. But the last thing we need is another 5-drop, especially a double green one. So we'll take this Emissary. There's also Tangle Hulk, but this actually might come back. It's another 5-drop where we actually need a little bit more early game. So we'll take that there. Here's a Rotwolf. Again, we're not Infect, but we don't have a lot of use for a Wellspring. The Rhino's not going to get activated. None of the other cards really work that well for us. There's a Signal Pest. I've not really been too happy with this. Rotwolf at least trades with something on the ground. You get a card whenever they trade. So we'll go ahead and pick up that. It's our first 3-drop. There's a Metal. There's a Fifth Strike. There's a Golem which can be trampled and regenerated, but 7 mana is quite a lot. So we'll just take the Metal here. Tangle Mantis is a really strong card. There's also a Rusted Slasher, but so if we don't have that much artifact, we're gonna go with the Mantis here. The 4 toughness is pretty good. Here might be a decent place to take Tangle Hulk. There's a Lead the Stampede, which we're not that creature heavy right now, but we might be later. But I still think that the Tangle Hulk is probably the better card here to pick. There's also a Glissa's Courier, another 3-drop, occasionally useful ability. But we might not even be playing these 2 cards over the Hulk. So we'll just take the Hulk there because it's just a better card overall. Nice big regenerator. So I haven't really hidden a lot of the cards that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be playing. I'm not going to be playing this bats. Uh, drafting that Tangle Hulk probably put it in uh, for this Hystrix. So probably not going to be playing that. There's another Hulk. I don't think we're going to want to play two Hulks. We're not really worried about the card being played against us. So we're going to take this Courier here. It's a decent early defensive card. It can also be useful as a sideboard card. And here we'll just de-draft this Recruit, overtaking a Flinstermite, which is not that great of a card, and the Recruit can be used very aggressively against us. I suppose we'll just rare draft here. We could take a Sentinel. There's also a Caustic Hound, but we've pretty much locked up our expensive drops. Partisan could also be used against us, and we can't get much from memory, so we'll just take the Partisan here. I don't like that card being played. Okay, so here's a Razorfield or a Silverskin armor. We'll just take the Silverskin, even though I don't really care for it. The 6-drop is not going to get played by us, and probably not anybody else, but the Silverskin could actually be decent in a Metalcraft deck. Although I'm not really that big on it. Basically, it's like for us, it's going to be like a Flare Husk that you don't get a creature for, which makes it not like a Flare Husk at all. Painsmith, which is an good early drop. There's Acid Web Spider, which is a fine one drop, first pick, I should say. So I think that's going to be actually the pick. There's a Phoenix, which might actually be better than all of our all of our blacks put together. But we do have the Implant, the Sickness, and the Enslave. Might be better than all of our green put together too. But since the bulk of our deck is coming from green right now, I don't think we can quite make the switch. And then expect to be able to play it any kind of regularly. And then won't be able to bring it back either. So we'll just go ahead and take the Acid Spider here. That's definitely going to put the nail in the coffin for the Hystrix, since they're both essentially the same creature, except Spider has a much better ability. Here's an Arrest that we can't really take. There's a Rustic. There's a Chrome Steed. So we actually do have a few artifact creatures. We might be picking up some more. You have to think that Implant counts, Splicer counts. Both of them do. So I'm thinking Chrome Steed might not be a bad pick here. The Arrest is a really late Arrest here, but we'll take the Chrome Steed over the Rustic. Rustic is okay, but not all that great. Here we can take a Mirror on color. There's also a Tangle Angler, but we've got a lot of 4-drops. We got some more expensive stuff. With this Chrome Steed pick, we kind of want to get a little bit more Metalcraft just to help that guy out, making that guy a little bit better. So this guy falls in all the fits with all our plans. Renegade doesn't really help us all that much. Angler is okay, but I think we'll definitely take the Mirror here. Okay, there's a Bellow Tangle, another 5-drop. Bellowing Tangle, I should say. There's a Quarter Shield. Which is pretty good, but we're not so Metalcraft hungry that we'll take the shield here. I think that we'll just take this Tangle. It can be a fairly useful card from time to time. It's a good beater. It gives a lot of our guys Intimidate, which is pretty strong. Okay, so we can take the Chrome Seed here to try to continue to get a little bit of Metalcraft and make the Metalcraft that we do take, the metal that we do take, better. We get a Forger here as a nice early drop that can turn into a big drop with some of the Metalcraft stuff that we've been taking. And it's actually, besides not being an artifact, is just as good as a Chrome Steed. There's also a Harness. You take another Mirror here. But I think we're just going to go take the Forger. There's a Necrotic Ooze as well, but another 4-drop is something we probably don't need. Now, if we do take this Ooze, we're probably not going to be playing the Steed. I think we'll just take the Forger here. It's a good aggressive drop. It gets better with Metalcraft. Now, and we actually have that. We do have the Silverskin armor, which can really help with our Metalcraft. So we get this other Forger. We could take another Shield, but I like the Forger just because it's an awesome creature by itself, or a good enough creature by itself, I should say. Here's another Copper Mirror. So it's another on-color mirror that's going to help with our Metalcraft, that's going to help with our acceleration. A Sanguinate, there's also a Wing Puncture, which is probably going to be a better pick for us. That should be able to kill pretty much any flyer that's going to give us a lot of trouble. So that would be a sideboard card, a decent sideboard card. Panic Spellbomb's an okay spell against us. I guess the scariest thing here is probably this Wayfarer. Not too scared of the sensor there. Okay, so Reaver's actually a pretty decent aggressive card, so we'll take that as well. Not really sure how well the Metalcraft plan worked out. We did hit it kind of heavy towards the end there, but most of the cards that we'd put in it would be pretty strong regardless. Necropouncer, Hulk. Maybe the Soul Eater gets in for Metalcraft. We could put a Urn, but I don't really want to go that heavy for it, so we'll just take the Sun Chaser out. That could be a scary card. Clone Cell is another 5-drop for a 2/2. Actually, I'm more scared of the... Well, I'll take the Clone Shell. It's kind of an annoying card to deal with, but I don't think I want to play it. Just because I don't want to end up playing another 5-drop. So we ended up with a little bit more of a Metalcraft theme than we thought, which is going to make that equipment that we picked up late, the Silver Skin Armor, a little bit better, because that means we can turn 2 things into equipment, into artifacts, I should say. The mirrors definitely go in, the armor definitely goes in, the steed. We'll put this off to the side to see exactly how well our Metalcraft component works. But we're going to be playing the 2/2s regardless, so we're going to be playing all the decent... Tangle Hulk I definitely like, Necropouncer I definitely like. Splicer is going to give us 2 artifacts, plus be a Splicer that's going to work well with this regenerating Splicer. Metal is going to work better. Wing Puncture is not going to be played main. Death Hood Cobra, I actually like that card. Emissary, Rot Wolf, we can leave that out. Courier, we can leave that out. Tangle Matrix. Acid Web Spider is a May destroy ability. The reach is really good, and the fact that it can kill creatures is pretty strong. We got a lot of green creatures. So having the Tangle Worm is pretty good. Enslave, we can leave the Caress out probably because we have a lot of 5-drops. This is kind of an expensive way to draw cards. Verdict we can also probably leave out. Parasitic Implant we'll want to keep in. And Spread the Sickness we'll definitely want to put in. Okay, so I'm looking at this deck. We are kind of wanting to run 18 land just because we have a lot of 6-drops, so we can call this a 5-drop. We definitely want all of these 5-drops except for maybe this guy. So this guy might be the only one that's on the outs. But it's not like we're replacing it with an artifact creature. We'd be putting it in either a Verdict or another land. And I'm not sure how much I like that Verdict, to be honest with you. And I really don't know how much I like that Caress. We're going to be pretty slow off the draw as it is anyway, which is why the Carapace Forges are okay, even though we're not super heavy. Or we'll see how many artifacts we have anyway. 1, that counts as 2, actually. Kinda. But they're kind of expensive, some of our artifacts, so these can come in later to turn these into 4/4s. This one's really good for that. More cheap guys. There's a bunch of 4-drop artifacts, including the Splicer here, but we do have actually quite a lot of artifacts. Wonder if the Soul Eater is even necessary. 1, 2. So there's 12 artifacts. We would go down to 11 if we took out the Soul Eater. 15 with 18 land. Couple of Mirror, the Emissary. But we have Tangle Hulk. We have some regeneration abilities here. Have a little bit of equipment use. So we can actually use excess mana. So getting stuck with too much is not going to be that big of a deal. And then adding less black means that we can skip a little bit on it without worrying about not having it early for, say, Geth's Verdict when it's going to be the best. And then the rest of these are so marginal. Caress is the only other card that I really want to play here, but with the expensive cards that we have in our deck, I think that we're going to go ahead and just go 7 and 11 so that we can get this enslaved down on. Now keep in mind we do have a copper and a lead mirror. We don't really need that double green until turn 4 anyway, so that will help out with getting that, and we only need it for a few cards. So I like this build. I think this deck is pretty strong. We don't have too heavy of a dependence on Middlecraft, but it is a nice bonus whenever it does come up. The only really super dependent card that we have is Chrome Steed, but I think that the 4/4 is definitely worth it. The fact that it's Middlecraft enabling as well definitely puts it over the top. For something that may be more useful, say like Rotwolf maybe, or the Soul Eater, but I think that the Chrome Steed is definitely better than the Soul Eater. So, all right, we'll see you in round 1, and thanks for watching.